How are you guys doing? Well, today I was at work. We went to a Christmas party in San Manuel, and I wasn't feeling well. And like this whole week, I've been sleeping and getting up, going to the restroom. And I finally decided to go to the doctor. Because if you remember earlier this year, like about February, I woke up in the morning with a big Every time I went to the restroom, after it was like pain. I mean, it was like someone's just like cutting you up down there. Little man got cut up. So it got better, and then the last couple of days, it started feeling, I was like, man, I'm just not feeling well, and I'm going to the restroom. So I decided, after this Christmas party, I'm going to take an hour off and just go to the doctor. So it was the same doctor who worked for me before. He looked at me, and he's like, okay, you know what? There's one final thing I think we should check for. He already did the I'm like, oh, fuck, man. So then he decided, you sure you don't want me to check for hemorrhoids? I said, fine. Then he pulls out this big plastic scope thing. I can just check inside. And I'm like, what the hell is that, man? And he's like, stuck. Oh! Looks inside. He's like, you have a couple of small hemorrhoids. I did all the other tests, so there's nothing else. So I went and picked up the medication. I went to do two different locations. But if you just think back, early February, what was causing all the problem was somehow I just got probably a massive, massive hemorrhoid, and it was just so painful that it was just radiating all the way to the front. So after I used the restroom, it appeared that I had like an infection, but actually it was just the hemorrhoid. I mean, if you want to torture somebody, you don't have to like cut them up and stick them in the eye. Give them a couple of hemorrhoids, and they go, oh! Just make them sit down. Just get those hemorrhoids like aching and just sit. And man's just like itching like the past couple of days. Then they go away. Itch go away. I'm like, I hate being 52, man. I'm like, it's all these stupid little injuries. I thought maybe I got a urinary infection. So I went to the doctor today, and I was thinking that caused all the problem. You know what? That almost caused me to almost like let a $3,000 ticket. First class ticket was the first time I flew first class to a Grant Cardone event. It's like, I'll fly first class. I got enough money. And that whole February until like the event, I was aching. And I remember on my flight there, it was like a 2-hour flight. I was just like in pain. I was sitting there. I did watch Peppermint. That's a really good movie, I must tell you. So I watched the Peppermint movie, and I think I watched another movie. But I was like constantly in pain. I remember being at the event taking notes. I could not move in my chair. It was so painful. And finally, like toward the end of the 3-day event, started to feel a little better. Then, of course, the Rams lost the Super Bowl, and then I felt like someone had already me again, so lost some money on that. So I was getting it twice. I had the hemorrhoid, and the Rams also gave it to me on that Super Bowl Sunday. So I don't want to be too long today, but just you got to keep going even when you're in pain, man. So I want you guys to take a look at my blog. Go and read. The one I want you to look at the most is read the student loan one, because that's one when a lady put me in pain. I remember she called me on the phone and she said, Mr. Morris, if you don't pay your student loan bill and stop putting it on deferment, we're going to garnish your wages, and we're going to take away your income tax. At first I was like, oh, she's just kidding. No, we're in the process of doing it. And I remember I was on the phone for about 10 to 15 minutes begging her, please don't do it. Please don't take the income tax, because that was the only thing I was using to pay a lawyer bill, because I had a probate with my grandmother. Also, I had ran up a whole bunch of money on a line of credit for my duplexes that I eventually lost to foreclosure. And I almost lost my current house, but I was able to renegotiate. Like they say, you never can renegotiate the loan things. You can if you really know how to write. And I'll show you how to do that. And also, I was able to get my taxes lowered. That was during the great 2008, 2010, everything before 2012, like that Great Recession. And I remember I went to Grant Cardone's conference. I was like, man, I thought I was going to go to South Beach. I was going to party. I didn't do anything. It's like basically these hemorrhoids have been ruining my entire year. I finally got better, and then like this December, kind of started feeling a little bit better. And then it started happening again. I say, it's got to be something. It can't be a urinary infection. It's got to be something coming from it. I was like, there's no way I can have the big age. There's just no way. I was telling myself, how I work out, I try not to eat, I don't even drink. I try not to drink anymore. Like, how did I get this? I'm trying to remember it. It didn't matter. You know what? The big M, like Grant Cardone, is the big G. Well, the big H was there. So now I got to go take a bath and start taking like this 7-day treatment. But I think we're going to be good going into 2020 because I was always worried about what was wrong with me. And I can't believe it's just that one little thing. That shows you like how I tell you guys never to quit. Remember how I told you almost lost my right eye? 6 diagnoses. 1 diagnosis, I was in pain. You know what is, Boris? 2nd diagnosis, go talk to the dentist. I don't know. 3rd diagnosis, go back to the optometrist. Are you sure there's not something wrong with my eye? 4th time, I go talk to the dentist and the optometrist. 5th time, I end up in the emergency room after my eye was coming out the socket because the sinus stuff had built up. So it was pushing the eye out. So the way my eye looks now, it was like how you look at it now, but like kind of like a couple of millimeters out. It was like one of those horror movies, like if you think of Total Recall, when those guys, when Arnold and the other people come out, that's how my eyes look. And it was like the 5th diagnosis. The doctor says, you have a sinusitis, and what we're going to do is just cut out your eye. We don't know if it's going to stop the brain poison, because like the poison, though they would have taken out the eye, the poison was still working my way to the brain. So I'm like, well, I don't think that's a really good option, doctor. Can you give me another? And so it's like, well, see if you can find one more option. So then the 6th doctor came, and he says, you know what? I know exactly what that is. And what we're going to do, we're going to make an incision through the mouth. No, they went through the mouth. I made a mistake. They didn't go through the chest. They initially went through the chest and did like the sonogram so they can just get an idea of how everything flowed. And I think what they did was they cut into the, I don't know, they did something. Either they cut into the chest and worked their way up, or they went through the mouth and did something. It was crazy. It's something crazy. Like, it's like they really don't, he said, I really don't do this that much, but you got to, it's like, as we go, because they used like the little camera had to come up so they can see what they were doing as they went through and did the poison stuff. He's like, you may die on the operating table. I was like, hey, better option just being like Snake Glipson and also dying like the next day. So that's why I tell you, never give up. So whenever I hear you guys say, oh, Martin, it didn't work the first time, it didn't work the second time. How about when it took me 7 years to pass my engineering test? You said, Martin, who cares if you just take 7 years to pass the test? By taking that 7 years to pass that test, that exam has earned me, probably by passing, just having that engineering license, it earned me an extra $55,000 to a minimum $80,000 over the last 13 years. And you divide it, you know, like the 7 years, yes, I did probably took the engineering test. Well, I had to take it at least, you take 7 times 2 times a year, 14 times, not counting the different review courses I paid for. But but even if you count like say 14 times 500 for the review test, do the math, and if you figure out at least got like just cut it in half. Say I made up $25,000 to $60,000 over the last 13 years because you get like a 10% pay raise, but then on top of 5 to 10% pay raise for the different jobs, and then if you get a raise, I mean you have whatever else is above that, so. You just have like that extra 5 to 10% over time just starts accumulating. And I would not have had it if I didn't pass the exam. And also, I wouldn't have even gotten to the exam. As you remember, I got laid off. So before I got laid off, you said, oh, Martin, we'll just keep doing what you're doing. Well, that's what I also did before I got laid off my first time from my state job. And like people were like, I was like, oh, you never get laid off, Martin. You never get laid off. They'll cut your salary. They'll transfer you. So I was doing like everyone else, you know, hey, let's just go out and party. Let's have fun. What happens? I go in there, go to the layoff list. Boom, there's my name. So that's what happens when you just, oh, we'll just do what we're going to do. Because what did you find out? Hey, something's going to happen different to you. That's going to happen to them. And then I had to scramble. So basically, here, you can decide, like, just kind of like see what you can learn from what I just told you. If you think, hey, I've done it a lot of times, hey, doing a lot of times is fine. That means, you know what? That means you're still in the game. Take a walk around your neighborhood. Go to like all the different malls. Look at the Macy's where there's hardly anyone working. I just came from the mall here in Redlands. It's like the car parking lot was all full of cars. Okay, I parked. I had to walk over. And then when I get over there, the stores are basically empty. I'm like, what is this? Maybe they were all in a macaroni drill. I don't know. There was a Verizon. There was a Magic Walk. Starbucks only had 2 people in line, and maybe another 12, like never say 6 to 7 people in the store. Hey, 12 maybe. But you're talking about rows of like at least 50 cars. Everything's packed. But most of the businesses are like probably 3 to 4 people, maybe 5 maximum for that amount of traffic. So I don't know if the malls are starting to ship cars in to make things look busy, fuller or whatever. But and also you found out like you're gonna go to try to impeach Trump, so you know what's gonna happen, right? We're gonna hit the 2020 recession. So I want you to go to my website for you students who have student loans. Take a look back 2016, 2017 when I was getting started paying my student loan. Take a look at that. And then for some of you who want to look at how I'm getting ready for GrowthCon 5 or Grant Cardone, where I'll come back and just do a brief recap for your company for $5,995. Take a look, and we'll talk about that later. So remember, you can decide if you want to keep going or if you want to quit. And then you decide if the outcome is worth you quitting, quit. If not, keep going.